In today's news, a BVIAA border security further compromised by recent smuggling, and government dismisses rumors of COVID-19 scare at Inland Revenue Department.
Twin storms wreak havoc in Caribbean region. All this and so much more when 284 News returns.
I think you need to clearly see what happened.
As far as what?
You and I, we decided we were gonna take our space. What happened?
Yeah, and then I got into an entanglement in August. That's what I said.
An entanglement.
Yes. Yes.
An entanglement.
Yes.
A little entanglement never hurt nobody. For the month of August, enjoy double the fun when you activate a 2 GB data plan or any hero plan and get double data. But wait, man, we're making things even sweeter. We've got a deal even Jada can't resist. Sign up for Go Fast LTE and get your modem for only $149. The catch is, there's no contract required, but you'll definitely need the willpower to leave. So come get entangled with August. In August with the home team.
34 years and counting.
We ride together.
We die together. CCT for
life.
Welcome everybody, a beautiful evening to you. It's Monday, August 24, 2020. It's been a wet Monday so far, but we're still coming to you out of none other than the beautiful British Virgin Islands and nature's little secrets. I'm Ron Grant.
And I am Kyla Kenesha Forbes. Welcome to yet another edition of 284 News. Ron, so much
Indeed,
has
and
been
it's always a
happening
pleasure.
over the weekend, and we have all of it for our viewers today. So let's just jump right into it.
Definitely. Now, of course, smuggling seems to be the topic of the day as we examine border security, or a lack thereof, here in the Virgin Islands. How can we ramp up the reinforcement and, most importantly, ensure that our local status with COVID-19 is not further compromised by persons entering the territory illegally? We also have to look at the fact that and take responsibility, rather, for the fact that some persons know that these smuggling incidents are taking place. We are just not speaking out. And Kyla, I think this comes at a very serious cost.
Most definitely. Ron, as you said, border control is definitely one of the top topics today.
Hot topic, yeah.
But also so many rumors, allegations. A lot have been happening since the confirmation of the 9 new cases, and we'll jump a little into that as well. But even reports of a possible lockdown coming in the territory of the Virgin Islands, and we see where at 9 o'clock tonight, the Minister of Health will be coming to us live with some updates. So we definitely will be looking out for what is to come.
Yeah, definitely. As you said, Kyla, these are all unconfirmed reports that persons, the thing about unconfirmed reports is that they simply cause paranoia and a lot of stress on residents, as we've already begun to see today. Supermarkets, once again, the lines are building up as persons, try their best to be secure. But one of the things that we always want to encourage our fellow residents here in the Virgin Islands to do is to be prepared and not paranoid, to be safe and not scared. So we're going to do our best to encourage you. Continuing on some new happenings, FSC recently instructs all workers to remotely work from home effective immediately after a member of staff tests positive. This notice, which we can see on the screen, Kyla, was issued today, and it's taken as a precautionary measure for one of the territory's largest bodies, statutory bodies. That's the Financial Services Commission here in the Virgin Islands. Persons, again, are asked to try their best to take safety precautions.
Most definitely. We see where institutions are trying their best and taking precautionary measures to protect the safety of their staff. And we're seeing this with numerous institutions across the board. So protecting our people and our human resource is of great importance. But also, as we speak about border control, Ron, over in the USVI, we have been watching that very closely, and cases continue to rise over there. But also, they reported that they had their 11th death.
Wow.
This death was of a 92-year-old man. So we see where the climate over in the USVI is still a bit rocky when it comes to COVID-19.
And it's definitely, it's taking out their seniors, which is the unfortunate. I mean, all deaths are unfortunate, but we see where many of the cases over in the U.S. Virgin Islands have been seniors. One of the most recent deaths was a 101-year-old resident. So we definitely want to keep them in our prayers, as we too are having a bit of a difficult time over here in the British Virgin Islands as well.
Yes, Ron, as I mentioned before, over the weekend, 9 new cases were confirmed here in the British Virgin Islands, and Honorable Carvin Malone, the minister, as we know, responsible for health and social development, he confirmed that the territory has recorded 9 additional COVID-19 cases, and this brings the territory's total to 21. Of course, as we know, after the confirmation of case number 12, earlier last week, the BVI Health Services Authority began aggressive contact tracing and investigation into the origin of this case because, as we know and we mentioned before in our reports, the patient is legally residing in the BVI and has no recent travel history. Therefore, the case was not imported and community spread was suspected. And of course, as this revelation came about, the BVI Health Services Authority really sprung into action, pursuing leads and identifying primary and secondary contacts of case number 12. After contact tracing, 10 persons were identified as primary contacts of this patient, and 9 out of 10 of these persons tested positive for COVID-19. Now, none of the 9 persons are currently exhibiting symptoms. That was as of this weekend, and it was revealed that most of the persons were currently residing in Easton as well as Anegada. Now, the BVI Health Services Authority will continue contact tracing and testing, and we have seen this over the course of the weekend. And really and truly, they're just in all their best efforts is really trying to mitigate the risk of further spread of the virus. Now, in the following days this week, community screening will take place in Anegada, Virgin Gorda, Easton, and Seacoast Bay. And on Saturday, it was reported by the government of the Virgin Islands that 92 negative results, which included 15 samples that were pending from the primary and secondary contacts of case number 12, thankfully, and as I said, came back negative. Now, to date, the BVI has recorded 21 positive COVID-19 cases. Of these cases, 8 are recovered, 12 are currently active, and unfortunately, the territory has recorded 1 death due to COVID-19. Now, the Minister of Health and Social Development, Honorable Carvin Malone, has basically, he is expressing his hope and saying, and I quote, "The government of the Virgin Islands will continue to be vigilant in protecting our borders and conducting further contact tracing. Do your part and we will get through this together."
Most definitely, and we see where he's encouraging persons to just, really stick together and let's do our best to fight COVID-19 here in the Virgin Islands. Continuing on the local scene, while not a new issue, the COVID-19 pandemic has magnified the state of risk at the BVI borders with the recent incidents of persons being smuggled into the territory. In light of the closed borders, our newsroom confirmed reports of 2 dinghies filled with persons entering the territory of the Virgin Islands from the U.S. Virgin Islands last Saturday during the passage of Tropical Storm Laura. According to the reports, the perpetrators made good their escape with the use of parked vehicles which were queued up for the getaway in the West End area. The incident was confirmed by Commissioner of Police Mr. Michael Matthews, who, outraged by the situation, said, and I quote, "It has become obvious that a very small minority people are still intent on trying to smuggle goods or people backs and forwards into the territory of the Virgin Islands locations outside, particularly the U.S. Virgin Islands. This must stop. This placing our communities at risk. It is placing my officers at risk." Now, it is important to note that the recent incident happened over the weekend during the storm, which indicates that the perpetrator's decision may have been informed by the fact that the U.S. Coast Guard and BVI law enforcement were pulled from the waters as a result of the tropical storm warning. In response to the government of the Virgin Islands, in an effort to intensify protection, the sea borders of the British Virgin Islands has now put together a joint team comprising of the immigration and customs officers under the team BVI Love, now partnering and protecting our sea borders in this new regular. The joint team is utilizing locally available resources to establish strategic platforms in the territory waters from which officers will be able to monitor vessels at sea and to rapidly deploy patrol vessels to intercept them if necessary on a 24-hour basis. Now, the initiative is being driven by a newly appointed Acting Commissioner of Customs, Mr. Wade Smith, in collaboration with Acting Chief Immigration Officer, Mr. Eon Penn, with the full support of the subject ministers and entire government of the Virgin Islands. According to Commissioner Smith, he said, and I quote, "Our sea borders must be further strengthened to prevent illegal entry of persons generally, and more specifically during this period of COVID-19, where there must be screening and monitoring of persons and other precautionary measures to prevent the importation and spread of this virus." Mr. Smith continued by saying it is customary that where it is necessary to procure equipment or service from the private sector, HM Customs does this from time to time. In this instance, the radar equipment and the vessel for this exercise are in the territory, and we needed to move promptly to further tighten the sea borders. Now, Premier and Minister of Finance, the Honorable Andrew A. Foy, visited Customs and Immigration officers early Sunday morning, August 23rd, ahead of the mission to thank them for their dedication to duty. He expressed thanks on behalf of the Minister for Immigration. Now, the leader of government business explained that the officers of Customs and Immigration will be working from these marine platforms in shifts so that there will be a more intense 24-hour surveillance of the sea borders. Now, the platforms will also be launching point for patrol and interceptor vessels, which will be able to quickly intercept any suspicious vessels in the territory's waters. Now, of course, back in April of this year, the Royal Virgin Islands Police Force launched a new joint task force with Her Majesty's Customs and Immigration Department to maintain the security and integrity of our borders, with which they are trying their very best in the territory, and to provide effective enforcement of curfew requirements whilst giving visible reassurance to our communities. Now, despite this effort, many residents have said enough is not being done, believe it or not, by the relevant authorities, as persons continue to slip through the cracks of the borders and question, why are we only now seeking to tighten the border protection? Now, that worry has been maximized significantly, as many are worried the recent efforts of smuggling and how it could compromise the BVI's successful attempts to contain the virus. Minister of Health, the Honorable Carvin Malone, who is currently leading the charge as Minister of Health, took to social media to rant. His post said, and I quote, "Simply frustrated, pissed with these people, smugglers who are endangering lives and livelihoods. Stop. If you know something, say something. After 5 months of sacrifice, we expect better than this. We can do better than this." While a warranted response, residents continue to question if the government of the Virgin Islands has done enough to protect the borders in the light of many allegations smuggling in response to COVID-19. Now, Kyla, we would all remember a previous press conference that was a COVID-19 press conference, where the Honorable Minister himself did admit that more could be done to protect the borders, and now we see him airing some frustration, which can be warranted. The territory has seen much success to date, and now it seems as though that success is somehow being threatened because of this. But I want persons to really understand and not get distracted, because ever since I've been a little boy, born and raised, growing up in Bajan, we have had a problem in this territory with illegal entry and smuggling of persons. So I don't want persons to get sidetracked and make this about illegal immigrants and the smuggling, because it is a serious issue, but we have to understand that the border protection at the end of the day is of paramount importance. And now that we see where multiple measures are continuing to be added to protect and we appreciate that, we have to not lose sight of the fact that it is our responsibility
Agreed.
as a government and as a people to protect our borders.
Agreed. Ron, as a local songwriter and singer, normally says the lashing dog, somebody is always looking someone to blame at the end of the
there we
day.
go.
And I think this is what is happening. As you said, COVID-19 is not a reason or the reason why we're seeing smuggling. I think we are now seeing it more so on the forefront because questions are being asked, okay, if this case was not imported, then where did it come from? And I think this is where we are now seeing the conversation of smuggling and tighter and protecting or borders, but
Most
it was
definitely.
always there. And I like what you said about it being our responsibility. It's all of our responsibilities. It is to the government to realize that this was an issue even before, and it even more so now because of what we're dealing with. It is an issue and they have to play their part, but also the people of the Virgin Islands realizing the times that we're in and really saying, hey, we have to do our part. So the only way for this to work is if we all do our part.
Most definitely collaborative effort. Now, still ahead, viewers, government is dismissing rumors of a possible COVID-19 scare at the Inland Revenue Department, and twin storms Laura and Marco cause extensive damage in the Caribbean region. You don't want to miss this. All this and more after a word from our sponsors. You're watching 284 News.
Is business slow? Cash flow down? Hosting an upcoming event? We can help. Advertise with 284 Media and take your business or event to the next level by enhancing your present marketing and messaging strategies. Allow our team of experts to create a personalized ad that sets your business apart from all the rest. This could be your business or event. So, what are you waiting for? Contact our marketing team at 284media at cctbvi.com. Advertising with us works.
Viewers, welcome back. You're watching 284 News. Continuing on the local scene here in the British Virgin Islands, both the government of the Virgin Islands and the Department of Environmental Health has denied allegations of Inland Revenue being forced to close due to a possible COVID-19 exposure. Following the abrupt closure of Inland Revenue on Friday, August 21st, many reports have surfaced alleging that a staff was infected with the novel coronavirus. However, according to the Environmental Health Department, the allegations are false. They said, and I quote, "We got a report from Inland Revenue that a customer took sick in the reception area. She vomited. We were told and we advised the supervisor and cleaning staff to clean up the area by the cleaners of Inland Revenue. The National Epidemiological advised them to other actions." Now, continuing on, when we contacted, they were contacted, by our newsroom for a comment. Minister for Health, the Honorable Carvin Malone, also said, "I just confirmed that the person was ill and taken to the hospital and tested. No official report submitted to me as yet. The office was closed on Friday by staff in the abundance of caution, not because of confirmation of testing," he added. Now, the Environmental Health Department further reiterated that the closure was not informed by their department. They said health did not advise that there be any closure. Up to press time, officials from Inland Revenue could not be met for a comment. The department will resume operations, or they have, resumed operations today, and they are moving forward with the services there at Inland Revenue. On Friday evening, the Minister of Health confirmed 9 new cases of COVID-19, bringing the territory's total to 21. Now, aggressive contact tracing has begun to identify, which we said earlier, and we're continuing to monitor the situation as best as possible.
Most definitely, Ron. I think that over the weekend, so many reports and rumors have surfaced in the BVI, and I think we see this a whole lot when people are uninformed and rightfully so afraid. And I think the people of the Virgin Islands is really calling for information. So we're really happy to see the government stepping forward with their regular COVID-19 response and press conference this evening, because I think so many persons have so many questions, and when there's no clear answer, someone makes up a story, and I think we've seen a lot of this over the weekend.
And just like you were saying of making up stories, Kyla, in this age, unfortunately, of social media, it kind of makes you miss the days of donkeys and horses.
Yeah,
it kind of makes you do that, because at the end of the day, we get so much misinformation, and amongst families and friends, sometimes in group chats, persons are sharing without having the facts. And while a lot of it comes out of care and consideration, persons who are frequent social media and continuously share and broadcast must understand the role that they play in the misinformation and in misinforming of public information until it's confirmed by a reputable news source, what have you, or by a minister. Then there's no real reason for you to share information, especially when you don't and can't value and authenticate from which these sources came for whether or not they're true.
Ron, we've heard it in the earlier times of lockdown, but we have a lot of WhatsApp reporters, and we're seeing a lot of it, but people have to take their responsibility seriously. Yes, you might want to tell a friend, but we really see how this affects our territory and our community as a whole when misinformation is circulated. But Ron, we've seen on many occasions where the BVI was spared and other Caribbean countries were heavily infected by a weather system, and even vice versa, because we have all had our share as the Caribbean region is in a hurricane-prone region. Over the weekend, the winds of Tropical Storm Laura moved through the territory of the Virgin Islands with little to no reported damage, thankfully. But unfortunately, Tropical Storm Laura, alongside its twin storm Marco, have done some extensive damage in some Caribbean countries. Now, at least 12 people have been killed as the two storms tore through the Caribbean on Sunday. Hurricane Marco and Tropical Storm Laura brought high winds and rough seas, leaving at least 9 people dead in Haiti and another 3 in the Dominican Republic. Heavy rains have also battered Cuba and Puerto Rico. And Ron, Puerto Rico is literally a few square miles away from the BVI, and we see the damage that this tropical storm has taken on Puerto Rico. Now, 9 people, as we said, were killed in Haiti. Two of them was unfortunately a mother and a child, and these persons, this mother and the child, is now missing after being swept away by the flood, according to the Civil Protection Director, Jerry Chandler. Amongst those which were killed were a 10-year-old girl who was hit by a falling branch, and she resided on the Haitian southern coast near to the border of the Dominican Republic. And the U.S. National Hurricane Center said that Laura was expected to strengthen into a hurricane by early tomorrow, and forecasters also say that Laura may swing east towards Louisiana, so it's up in the states now, and it could be the first time in record history that the state has been hit by 2 back-to-back hurricanes. Now, footage shared on social media showed that Haitians trying to get to safety as the flood waters are rising quickly. In total, 200 homes were damaged in the Dominican Republic and 1,000 people had to be evacuated. Now, meanwhile, in Cuba, many residents in the country's eastern region have been evacuated and housed in shelters or safer buildings on higher ground. Now, as we talk about Laura, we can't forget Marco, which is expected to make landfall in the U.S. state of Louisiana on Monday, with Laura hitting Texas on Thursday. Marco strengthened to a hurricane on Sunday with sustained winds of up to 75 miles per hour and is moving north between Cuba and Mexico during this time. But Ron, so much is going on with these twin storms. As many reports are saying, these are definitely unprecedented situations as we see these 2 storms traveling one behind the other going up the Gulf.
Well, Kyla, the unique thing about the hurricane season is no season is the same. This particular season that we're in continues to be very active, more active than usual. And while we're getting a lot of rain here in the territory, which many persons are thankful for, our prayers and hearts do go out to our brothers and sisters, not only regionally, but of course over there internationally in the U.S., who are having extreme difficulties with the twin storms that are causing havoc. And again, we're battling the hurricane season and COVID-19 all at the same time.
Most definitely. Now, viewers, we still have a few more to go. So over the weekend, we reported on the Bajan Charter flight company is permit being suspended for violating BVI entry protocols, and that suspension have now been lifted. So if you want to hear all about it, you better stick with us. This is 284 News, and we'll be right back.
So you're saying I can ask this cat any question?
The cat is connected to the computer. You just type in the question, it will read his mind. There the answer comes.
You're the man! I've been looking for this for weeks.
Viewers, welcome back. Thanks for sticking with us. You're watching 284 News. Now, according to the CEO, Mr. Reginald Admas, the recent suspension on his airline, One Caribbean, has been lifted. According to a report sent out by the BVI Airports Authority on August 4th, 2020, OCL Barbados doing business as One Caribbean arrived at the Terence B. Letson International Airport here in the British Virgin Islands while being in violation of entry protocols put in place by the government of the Virgin Islands to eliminate the spread of COVID-19. According to Managing Director Mr. Clive Smith, he said, and I quote, as a result of the occurrence, the Foreign Operators Permit FOP was suspended, which essentially means that the airline will not be allowed into the territory during the period of suspension. Now, the government's protocols require all airlines arriving in the territory to provide 24 hours notice of all passengers on board the aircraft approved to arrive in the territory. The protocol also instructs all passengers to be in possession of a valid travel certificate issued by the Ministry of Health coming from the country confirmed that they are safe to enter the BVI. These protocols are our country's first line of defense in the fight against the reintroduction and spread of the novel coronavirus, COVID-19, in our territory. Mr. Smith advised that any violation of the government or the authorities' protocols will not be taken lightly, as the well-being of our residents and citizens, our internal economy, and the successful rebound of our economy post-COVID-19 is reliant on our ability to keep the BVI COVID-19 free. Now, the BVI Airports Authority understands that the suspension of One Caribbean service has caused some inconvenience for persons who had travel plans prior to the suspension of the FOP. You are encouraged to reach out to your airline for updates or organize alternate travel arrangements. Now, all airlines operating in the territory are reminded and encouraged to kindly adhere to all protocols and guidelines put in place by the government and the authority to ensure safety of all citizens and residents of our territory, to avoid such measures in the future.
Most definitely, Ron. At the end of the day, the BVI has to do what they have to do to keep our people and our borders safe. But as they said, this would be and would have been, if it wasn't lifted, an inconvenience to many passengers traveling to and from the British Virgin Islands.
Well, we see where in this story that lift has apparently been lifted, and we're thankful for that. But I think this precedent and this example of law enforcement is a great example, and this should be practiced across the board in all facets. We spoke earlier about border protection, and we see where the BVI Airports Authority, along with the government, are sticking in some areas to very strict measures, and we'd like to see those measures continued and adhered by on all aspects and all levels of the territory as we continue to seek to protect our residents and our children and all that we've worked so hard for. But persons are reminded, Kyla, before we head out, that the Honorable Minister of Health and Social Development will be giving a COVID-19 update tonight at 9 p.m. And you are asked to tune into that broadcast to make sure that you get all the details, first-hand information. Of course, we will also be making sure that we are updating the public as to the findings of that press conference. Be sure to check out our website where you can get your daily updates, as well as on Facebook. We're on Twitter and Instagram. And we want to just thank the general public for their continued support, particularly our brothers and sisters across the region who continue to send us messages and wish us the best of safety over here.
Most definitely, Ron. As you said, people can watch our Facebook page to keep updated. And as we rebroadcast this stream with the Honorable Minister, any reports coming out of this, 284 will be reporting on this. But viewers, that is it for today's News Roundup. Be sure to find us on Facebook at 284 Media and 284 BVI on Instagram as well as Twitter. Of course, it is always my pleasure. I am Kyla Kenesha Forbes.
And I'm Ron Grant. We will see you again tomorrow, God's willing, as we deliver your daily dose of local, regional, and of course, international content. We're 284 News, your source for honest and impartial news right here on 284 Media. Happy Monday, everybody. We're about to have a great week.